Yeah.
We're gonna.
Live from Studio B in the Annenberg School here at USC, this is the Talk of Troy, where we talk a big game but have even more bigger opinions. Welcome, everybody. You know, this is my very last show, or at least Monday's show, as your EP, ladies and gentlemen. This is basically coming to an end. This is coming to an end. Cristian Vasquez here alongside Logan Drone and Jonathan Satelli. Yes, please. We're going to start with
a little moment of silence for Cristian and all the great efforts that he has done for us.
It hasn't been much, but let's go right into it really quick. Let's kick off these things with some football. All right, let's not get sad anymore. All right, it's time to get serious. Let's talk some serious game here. College football has been quite a ride this whole entire season, and we just came off a big rivalry week. USC completely, well, I'm not going to say destroyed, but they put up a good fight against UCLA. That first half, though, I don't know. Questions there.
A lot of questions, if you ask me.
A lot of reactions that Logan will kind of take a deep dive into a little later. But let's stick with the playoff picture, right? Because that's sort of the big thing here. We have conference championships. We have some teams that have, well, I think for the majority of them, a good like 80 to like maybe 90% teams have secured their spots. Even if they lose, looks like they could secure their spots. Some interesting ones there. And one thing that we were looking at is the Bleacher Report came out with their own sort of little bracket in which in the top 4 seats, which, as you guys know, get their bye week, they have Ohio State, Indiana, Texas Tech, and Georgia. Any thoughts on that? I mean, I know that's kind of how it's looking right now, but that's the projection right now. Now, granted, the games that are coming up haven't been played yet, so we don't know exactly how that's going to look like, especially with that OSU-Indiana game. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Who's going to prevail there?
Yeah, I mean, for me to start, I think undisputed 1 and 2 is pretty obvious. It's the 2 undefeateds, OSU, Indiana. That's going to make for an incredible game this upcoming weekend. And you know, I took note that the committee said that the championship weekend, you know, in terms of conference championships, shouldn't matter in terms of the rankings. So I think this game between Ohio State and Indiana, whoever loses this game should still be getting a home playoff game. I think that's in my opinion. But in terms of the top 4 being Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, and Texas Tech, I think that is all correct. I think obviously all those teams have 1 loss or 0 losses, are undefeated on the season. Next closest is Oregon with 2 losses. Oregon with just the 1 loss. But even still, I like Texas Tech and who they have played this season to give me them at the 4 spot with the home field advantage going in. I like these rankings so far.
Okay. Jonathan?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think the rankings are pretty fair. Obviously, the 1 and 2, undisputable, no matter what. If you were to move them, it'd be insane, frankly. But, yeah, I mean, Oregon, because I like that because they have Oregon at the 5. Right, because they're obviously, I feel like, the next best team outside of that. And so if you have like, oh, well, Texas Tech shouldn't be the 4, it should be Oregon, well, you're going to get that playoff and you're going to see if that's true or not, right? In the Cotton Bowl, I think they have it listed. So, I mean, I really like the rankings. I know we're talking about if Bama were to lose, should they lose their spot? And obviously there was that quote, and I kind of agree with that quote, right? You shouldn't punish a team for getting to that championship. Regardless of if they win it or they lose it, they got there for a reason. Those are made to, at this point, now give you a spot. So even if you lose, obviously, then you're 10-3.
But even if that reason was because A&M lost, because looking at it from a different perspective here, Bama, I'm not going to say they didn't earn their way up there.
Right.
They barely escaped out of Jordan-Hare with a win.
They did,
right?
yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And then 2, A&M lost badly to Texas, which basically set up this weird encounter once again. It's like seeing like the same episode of SpongeBob once over. We got Georgia, Bama again. So I don't know. I think, in my opinion, if Bama loses, I think they should be put out of the playoffs.
It's just like I said. I mean, I see what you're saying, and obviously there's some validity to that, right? Their wins are not fraudulent, but they're they're higher ranked maybe because of the school that they are. But it's just hard, right? Because it's 10-3, and the teams you would, let's say, put up ahead of them, what it might be
Miami, BYU, or who's the last one?
So you got Utah, Vanderbilt,
and you have those in that, and I see that, right? Obviously, it would make sense. They have less losses, but then you have to go and look at the other side, which is they have less games. So in theory, if you're going to go that route, you're like, okay, well, they should have a play-in for it to get that spot, because do you have one less game, you could have lost that game if you had another one, right?
Yeah.
Because you're saying Alabama lost, they're 10-3, but that's 13 games. The other team is obviously 11-1, 10-2, 10-2. That's all 12. So we don't know what would have happened if they had 13
Yeah,
games.
and I think that's why it's important for the committee to hold what they to stay true to what they said at the start of the season in terms of these extra games being played in conference championships should not really impact the rankings, right? Because I completely agree with you. This extra game, could go one way or the other, but that gives you a competitive advantage just getting that extra game in no matter what.
Yeah.
So, I think these teams that made conference championship weekend, they completely deserve it, right? They were obviously at the top of their conference for a reason, but I don't think any team should get penalized if they lose. Yeah. And I think the biggest, question mark is a team like Alabama, who's, number 10 on the college football rankings according to Bleacher Report. They're the last team in that at-large spot. If Bama is in fact at 10 tomorrow, no matter what happens in the SEC championship game, if they win or lose, they should remain at that 10 spot, in my opinion. And especially because, if they do lose to Georgia, that would be their second loss to Georgia this season. So I do think, again, that comes with a grain of salt as well.
Yeah.
What about your guys' thoughts on BYU? Because if BYU loses, they easily lose that 12 spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they have a tough matchup against Texas Tech, who, if I'm not mistaken, they've already lost to, and pretty badly, to Texas Tech earlier in the year. It was a regular season
they lost by
matchup.
22.
Yeah.
College game day was there.
College game day was there. That's right. And so I think I see kind of like a big debate sparking here. If Bama loses and if BYU lose, do you give that last spot to Bama and someone else? Because I don't think the committee is going to be all that fair to BYU, considering you lost to Texas Tech twice.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of what you see with the Bleacher Report predictions, right? They're not even there, right? BYU's not on there. So that's an interesting question. I mean, ooh.
I think it'll all come down to what they decide to put out for tomorrow. Because, again, I think that should be 90 to 95% concrete in and of itself. And there should be very little changes, if any at all. Maybe you see Ohio State or Indiana move down a little bit, but they're still going to have a home playoff game, right? It's just they're no longer undefeated, so you lose a little bit of respect for that. So, again, in my head, I still think if you put Bama in at 10, Bama's sticking at 10. And, you have the likes of Notre Dame and Oklahoma already in as well. I do agree with that. I think the way that the schedule has been going, I think Notre Dame has won, 9 straight games. Yeah. And the way that the college football rankings, I think, are created, it also puts a lot more emphasis on late season losses, I think. Right? Notre Dame losing the 2 of their first 3 games doesn't impact them as much as if they were to lose 2 of their last 3 games of the season. If they lost 2 of their last 3 games, they would be completely wiped out. Yeah. So I think with that being said, Notre Dame is in as well as Oklahoma. So I think these rankings, like what Bleacher Report has right now, I like it. I there might be some mix-up between seedings because A&M did lose, so they're going to move from 3 to wherever they feel comfortable, but they should still be at least in the top 8, in my opinion.
Yeah, AP Top 25 right now has them listed at 7. So they went down, 4 spots from what they were previously. And right at the cusp, you see 3 teams that I feel like are going to get effed up in this whole debate if they get thrown in the mix. And again, like I said, with a loss for Bama and BYU, that last spot becomes so crucial for them because you don't even pay attention to the group of 5 teams, right? When we're talking, they had, I believe, North Texas on there, and North Texas has a tough matchup against Tulane in the American. That spot is up for them. However, 3 teams that I see here that are going to be kind of like a spark for big debate. Miami, Vanderbilt, Texas, right? Texas coming off of a huge win against A&M, but I mean just an amazing juicy win, because you bet I enjoy that with my Thanksgiving leftovers when I was watching that game. We own Marcel Reed, and I love that. I'm sorry, but I do. But yeah, Texas has that big win against A&M. They have tough first game matchup of the season against Ohio State, but still a one touchdown loss on that game. The one thing obviously that's kind of like circled big is that loss to Florida.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Why did we lose in the swamp?
3-win Florida.
3-win Florida.
Ouch.
That looks atrocious. Just as the same that, for Bama, that Florida State one looks atrocious. Vanderbilt, I mean, they're coming off a big win against Tennessee, and it's a big win going against Nolan like that. Miami's kind of been weird all season.
Yeah, Miami
too.
had those losses. I think it was to Louisville and SMU.
That's right.
I want to say.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think, look, for me, I think there's so much that's gonna come down to play. I think it'll be very interesting as well to see if the committee moves down Ole Miss because of what happened with Lane Kiffin.
That's right.
As well, because I think obviously we saw Kiffin is now going to go to LSU. He has agreed to that. And in his statement, he said that he asked the coach for Ole Miss in the playoff and in their run, and he was denied to do so. So Ole Miss is going to do their own thing. And with this, this is a huge spark for controversy and all this stuff, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But I'm very interested to see if the college football rankings adjust for that. If they start to consider the fact that Ole Miss isn't going to have their head coach, there's a chance that their quarterback isn't going to play amongst a ton of other players.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I didn't even think about that. I mean, obviously we've been talking a lot about, the whole Lane Kiffin thing, that sort of impact that it has. I just don't think I paid attention too much to like you said, if the committee was going to take that into account, how much of an impact that was going to make. And, yes, they have their defensive coordinator, and I hope I'm not botching his name here. It is Pete Golding, their defensive coordinator, now taking the head coach position, at least for right now. I know they say permanently, but, anything could happen in this offseason. But, Pete Golding taking the helm of this team, a familiar face for the Ole Miss program, but it's not the same as being led by the guy that's, led you for all of these. How many games has it been now? 12 games,
past
in
6
the
seasons.
Yeah, exactly. And not to mention, the past
being
past 6
ranked
seasons.
for each of the last 50 weeks, 50 plus weeks in the college football rankings. So I mean, this is a dramatic loss for Ole Miss. Am I surprised? Honestly, no, I'm not, because when you see this LSU job, this is literally the creme brulee. This is the cream of the crop. I mean, before Brian Kelly, each of the last 3 head coaches won a national championship and brought it natty to Baton Rouge. So in my head, this and Alabama are pretty much the 2 head coaching gigs you want in college football. So for Lane Kiffin stepping down from Ole Miss and pivoting to LSU, it's a rival. It's another SEC school. He's going to be playing Ole Miss next season at Ole Miss. That's going to be incredible. But in my head, he did the right decision. Now, with that being said, I think this decision shows how flawed the college football scheme and everything is now with NIL, with the transfer portal. Now with coaches having to leave and stay, decide on that. I mean, look at LSU. LSU has nothing to play for anymore. They're not even bowl eligible. They don't have 6 wins. So LSU wants to start recruiting. They want to start, attacking the transfer portal, looking towards next season. That's why Lane Kiffin had to make a decision. I mean, he prolonged it as long as he could. I remember seeing reports that he was supposed to declare whether or not he's going to stay with Ole Miss after the Egg Bowl on Friday. He gets interviewed after the game, and he's like, I need some more time to think about it. Then on Saturday, I mean, this poor guy, Marty Smith for ESPN, was at Ole Miss for 6 days straight waiting for him to make a decision.
And that became a meme.
It literally became a meme. I mean, this poor guy was wearing the same jacket he did on Thanksgiving as he did when Lane Kiffin. He finally got his final interview with Lane Kiffin on Monday after he made the decision. So for me, I think this shows how flawed the college football system is right now in terms of, Lane Kiffin developed this. He built this culture in Ole Miss. And in fact, he wanted to finish it. Even though he knew he was, looking forward to the future, looking out for himself, taking this LSU gig, he wanted to finish the job. And Ole Miss obviously sees that, Lane Kiffin has to move on. They have to move on as well. They're not going to let him finish the job. So I think it just shows how flawed the college football system is right now with NIL taking over, with so many people transferring, and there needs to be some sort of adjustment.
Ethan Galbraith in the comments saying me and Lane hitting the LSU frats this weekend. I know you're going to be in Baton Rouge, Ethan. Another point that Ethan brings up is if Notre Dame makes the college football playoff, they have to put Miami in. Right, and why? Because Miami defeated
them head-to-head.
Notre Dame, and that's another issue that comes into this is the whole head-to-head thing, right? With Miami and Notre Dame in this particular case. Then you have Vanderbilt, Texas. Well, Texas defeated Vanderbilt when they were in the top 10. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next week and a half ish. But let's talk more about the whole Lane Kiffin change, right? You just brought up a great point about how the culture in college football has been changing, and a lot of these coaches and players too. I mean, let's also put some fingers on the players here, leaving their teams almost half stranded in the middle of the season. We saw a lot of coaches getting fired in the middle of the season. What are your guys' take on that? I mean, how bad? And you, Logan, Jonathan, that you guys have played in sports teams and stuff like that. How big of an impact does this create, not just on you as a player, but like the whole team dynamic?
Yeah, I know for me, my senior year of high school on varsity baseball, I had the same head coach for the last 3 years, and then all of a sudden, our senior year, our very last game, he is not at the helm, and we had our assistant coach come in. He got fired right before that, our very last game, and it just completely threw off the vibe that was completely created by him. And yes, sometimes, this could be a little, adrenaline boost. It could be a little like spark, whatever, getting a new coach, getting a new change of scenery. But at least for me, when I was a player, it was definitely an adjustment, and it took some time to getting used to. And I think, you saw Penn State, how much they just kind of crumbled after James Franklin got fired. They immediately lost 2 games after that. And yeah, they started to get their season back around. They're back to being bowl eligible. They won 6 games this year. But then again, as soon as James Franklin got fired, now you have 19 of their top 20 recruits decommitting or declassing or whatever and leaving their promise to go to Penn State. That impacts the future as well. So I think, again, like seeing Lane Kiffin leave midseason, you're going to see a lot of Ole Miss players start to decommit. You're going to see a lot of Ole Miss players currently start to enter their names into the transfer portal. Maybe that's following Lane Kiffin. Maybe that's going somewhere else. But I think you're gonna really start to see this adjustment. And I think that's why teams like LSU want Lane Kiffin to make a decision early, because players have to put their name in the portal by January. And again, it's different with college football in terms of like professional sports, because these college players are binded by their school schedule. Like literally, when you think about it, the transfer portal, these players have to get their applications in by January. It's the same stuff that we all had to do too. So there's nothing that can change that. It's just a matter of maybe pushing up the college football season a little bit earlier. I think getting rid of some of these BS games where you have like USC playing like Missouri State. That doesn't need to happen. I think the week before rivalry week, where we see all these SEC teams going up against schools like Mercer, going up against schools like Old Dominion, like these no-name schools
Eastern
blowing them out by
Illinois,
50. Let's eliminate that, and let's get rid of the fluff and go straight to business. You can shorten the season, but again, I think you need to accommodate for the students, because at the end of the day, all these athletes in college football, they are student athletes, and that comes first. It's in the name first. So you have to acclimate to that. You have to accommodate and understand that the deadline of transfers having to hit the portal by January, that's never going to change, because that is aligned with the college system. So you need to either push up the season or come to terms with, if you're a head coach, you can't leave in the middle of the season. That's why I think there needs to be somebody higher up to really make a decision right now, because what Lane Kiffin's doing and what Lane Kiffin just did, I don't see anything wrong with what he did. I think he made the right decision for himself, but I think we're going to start to see down the line other head coaches start to do something similar. And again, that completely screws over this team in the college football playoff. Like Ole Miss might have a home playoff game and they're going to be underdogs by double digits. That should not be the case. If you're having a home playoff game, you are one of the top 8 teams in college football. You should be ready to handle the other team and take care of business. You should not be double-digit underdogs like Ole Miss is going to be, most likely.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see how Ole Miss kind of plays with this heading into the playoff. I think that's kind of very much determine, I think, a bit of the offseason, what's going to happen, which players are going to bounce, which are going to stay, and whether this team can kind of stick with it or not. Funny enough, now he's at Lane Kiffin at LSU, following in the steps of Ed Orgeron now, and he even did the whole "Let's go Tigers" or whatever it was. Jonathan, what do you think? How bad is this going to is this going to be for Ole Miss heading into the playoff?
I mean, obviously, when you switch a head coach, it's a big deal. When, as we said, he was there for, you said, last 6 seasons?
Yeah,
that's huge, right? Because you're having a head coach, he's building rapport with all the players. The players are playing, a lot of times, especially when I was in high school, it's one thing, you kind of play, and it's less so in high school because obviously it's high school. It's not college.
Not as serious.
You're not really playing, I'm playing for the high school, right? But at the end of the day, there's a little bit of that. But when you've been with the same coach for let's say 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you start to play for that coach. And when you rip that kind of heart out of the system, right, for these players, because these players have been with this coach for a while. Obviously, some new commits, new transfers, whatever. That kills a team because now we've been working under your system for however many years, and we're going into this big game. The pressure's at the highest it's ever been. You look to what's been reliable all season. You look to the same plays. You look to what's been working, and now what has been making things work behind the scenes is gone. So what do you look to? You don't have anything now. Your coach out. That, to me, is a very hard situation to be put into. Obviously, you could say, they have a chip on their shoulder. I don't think it's a good enough chip. You're going to get nailed because you need that kind of person who's been there, a head coach that's strong, that's been working with the program, that sees things differently than the players because they've been outside of it for so long. They've seen the other teams. That experience disappears, and now you're relying on, you can't really rely on your seniors or your players. You rely on them, of course, but you need that extra coaching staff because at the end of the day, when the pressure's hitting the hardest, it hits the players a lot of times a lot harder than maybe the coaches, unless you're obviously under hot water and you're gonna get fired. In that situation, the players need someone to balance them out. So not having that voice or not having the voice that was there the whole season when things maybe got a little sketchy, right? The coach gets you in halftime talk or hey, calls timeout. Look, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna get back in this game. That voice being gone is just, I think it's gonna be detrimental to their season. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's unprecedented that a coach leaving would cause a team to be dropped in ranking. I don't think that would happen. I don't think you can do that. I
don't know, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised, but it'd be shocking to me because that, obviously, yes, that's as I've just talked about. The coach is a big deal, right? So if you lose your coach, you're not going to be the same team. The issue becomes though, it's hard to me to drop the accomplishments of a team because you lose the coach. Obviously, you're not the same team.
Yeah.
Most likely, you're not going to play the same unless you're UCLA and somehow you drop the coach. And
the only instance I can think of was Florida State with Jordan Travis, right? Once he got hurt, Florida State fell in the rankings after that and didn't make the playoffs. Granted, they then got smoked in the bowl game. And it kind of showed that the committee probably made the right, although Sully would like to disagree. Although it shows that they probably made the right decision. Again, I think that right there was a good example of a team losing a key impact player, and the playoff the rankings actually adjusted because of it. And I think this might be. I was thinking about this as you were talking about the importance of a coach, and I think in terms of any sport, any level, I think a college football head coach has the most impact on their team than any other sporting coach does. Whether that's a professional or a college level, I think a college football head coach has the ability to change the demeanor in the locker room, to change the attitude, to change literally everything. And I think, yes, you have big-time players there, but when you're a college football coach, again, you're going to have some walk-ons and you're going to have some stars. When you're an NFL coach, an MLB coach, an NBA coach, you're around superstars the entire time.
Yeah.
And sometimes those players will take over. It's very, very, very rare that we see college football players take over.
Yeah.
The only time I think there are 2 college football players that come to mind that can take over a game, and that was Joe Burrow at LSU and Johnny Manziel when he was at Texas A&M. And those are literally a diamond in the rough. So to me, I think the impact that a college football has on their team is the greatest impact out of every single sport, whether that's college basketball, college football, whether that's any professional level. And I think a team like Ole Miss losing Lane Kiffin, they just lost their identity.
Yeah.
That's what just happened. And whether that, some recruits are still going to stay with them. Some people are still going to see, Ole Miss has been ranked for 50 plus weeks in a row. That's great. But that would have never happened if it wasn't for Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Case in point blank, if it wasn't for Kiffin's recruiting, his coaching ability, his play calling, everything, his ability to create a player and develop a player as well.
Yeah, the whole system.
And that's why I think college football coaches have the most impact on players and on a game than in any other sport. So to me, I think Ole Miss is really, really going to suffer.
Look at their quarterback too. I mean, what's his name? Chamberlain.
Chambliss.
I mean, he came from what, like a Division II school. Like this man, nobody had an eye on him, but Lane Kiffin gave him a chance, and again, that shows to Kiffin's great recruiting. Yeah. Right, so I definitely agree with that. It's funny you mentioned the Jordan Travis led FSU team in 2023, because Ethan brought that up right now too. He said, the committee doesn't care about most deserving teams.
Yeah,
and we saw that
they want the best matchup possible.
Yeah,
and that's why I wouldn't be surprised. Again, you see what just happened with Ole Miss, and I mean, I think we saw last year the first round of games, the new expanded college football playoffs was very underwhelming. I mean, we saw like Penn State blow out SMU. We saw Notre Dame blow out Indiana. Yeah. And I mean, the only really good game I think was that Ohio State-Tennessee game, kind of close before Ohio State ran away with it at the end. Yeah. But all those games were double-digit point outcomes. Yeah. So to me, I think, again, the committee wants a good ranking. They want to see good matchups in these games. I mean, that's what's going to get more people to watch the games. That's what's going to gain them more revenue in the long term as well. So I genuinely would not be surprised. I don't think it's right, but I would not be surprised if Ole Miss gets dropped in the rankings, even after a win this week, just because of all of this nonsense that's going on with Lane Kiffin.
Do they make it past the first round?
No. Not a chance. Okay. No chance.
All right, I'm glad that we can all agree on something. Okay, speaking of coaches, right? Ethan brought this up right now. He talked about how Penn State is, looking through the coaching carousel right now. They have still not yet to find a replacement for James Franklin. But you know what? Other teams have found their replacements, right? We saw recently today UCLA hired James Madison's Bob Chesney, right? Will Stein from the offensive coordinator at Oregon. He's at Kentucky now, and one key hire that I think is going to be a big one here at Florida, getting Tulane's John Sumrall. Now, this man's been a head coach for 4 years. In the 4 years he's been a head coach at Troy and at Tulane, he's gone 42-11. In each of those 4 years, he's led his team to conference championships. Like that's insane to me. And he's only, by the way, the only FBS coach in history to do that. So I think this pickup,
I think that's a great hire.
Yeah, that's a great hire for Florida. And considering the players that you have, the season you just had, I think out of all the hires or the whole coaching carousel that just happened, this is the greatest pickup in my case. It's going to be Florida.
Yeah, I mean, like we see it right now. Tulane's, and this is another team, right? Tulane playing a conference championship, a college football playoff berth on the line. Yeah. They're not going to have their head coach because he just declared for Florida, right? Yeah. But in my head, I think John Sumrall is a great head coach. We saw his first year where he upset USC in the bowl game. Mm-hmm. I will never forget that. Nope. That was an incredible comeback. But I mean, this Tulane team has been great. In the past, like every single year, ever since the expanded playoff, they've always been around that ranked area, always been competing for that Power 5 at-large or Power 5 conference berth. So for me, I think Florida needs a change of scenery. I think they have talent. I think in Florida as well, that's another incredible school to be a head coach for. SEC, a lot of homegrown talent in Florida. High school football in Florida is phenomenal. So to me, I like this talent. I think John Sumrall going to Florida is great, and I think I'm really excited for the development of DJ Lagway, hopefully, because I thought he was going to take a big step forward this year. And he actually took 3 steps backward. So I'm interested to see how John Sumrall can develop him. And I think, again, DJ Lagway's a project. And if he can make DJ Lagway work, I think he can make any quarterback work in the future. And I think that would be a phenomenal sign for Florida for years to come.
Any of these hires that you like?
I mean, no, I kind of agree with you guys on the hiring side of it. I think, obviously, they're interesting. Seeing that the Tulane switch up, right? Like it's the same thing where the head coaches are leaving. I just find that really interesting, but otherwise I don't really have much to add.
UCLA hiring Bob Chesney. A lot of people actually like that for UCLA, right? I think he has potential to, make an impact up there. I don't know if you keep Nico. I'm not really sure if he's coming back. I think he should come back, to be honest with you, especially after everything he's been through this year. But I think if you keep Nico around and build off this team in the offseason, I don't know about playoffs for UCLA, but you could definitely turn this program around, especially after the atrocious season that they had this year.
So
Yeah, I mean, I honestly kind of liked what UCLA had going with their interim head coach, with Tim Skipper and their OC, Jerry Neuheisel. I think that they had a little bit of spark going. I don't know. I mean, obviously that Penn State victory was a big one, but then they went on the road and beat, I think it was Michigan State at Michigan State. So I would have liked to see how this could have panned out with Jerry Neuheisel and Tim Skipper. But at the end of the day, I think James Madison has been playing really good college football recently. They've been really starting to make a name for themselves year in and year out. So to me, I think this is a good signing for UCLA. I have no complaints.
Now, this is a topic that I had first brought up to our other EP, Jude's attention, right? Which was, how crazy would it be? And we've kind of seen the history between these two teams, and I'm pointing at our very own USC and maybe Texas, a potential matchup in, who says, maybe the Citrus Bowl. Granted, if Texas, which is looking like then more likely will not make the college football playoff just because of everything else. But both of these teams are 9-3. Each of them with a very bad loss and a very good loss, or very good wins, And so, like, I think
similar head coaches too.
Exactly.
If you were to ask me.
Yeah. I mean, and Sark was at USC too. Yeah. So I mean,
a true dilemma for the likes of Madison, though. If this were, and for you as well, if this were to be the case.
Yeah. So I honestly think we could potentially see, and if not just the committee, but college football in general, the NCAA wants to see some numbers go up. Yeah. And I know ESPN was predicting Michigan-Texas matchup. I'm not mad at that either for the Cheez-It Bowl, but I think
the Pop-Tart Bowl.
But I think the play here, I think it would be perfect to finalize it with a Texas-USC matchup.
I mean, I think that would definitely be a really good bowl game. And the only other one that I personally, from a USC perspective, would see as maybe a better bowl game, just for viewership standards, is USC-Utah if Utah doesn't get in, right? Because think about it, though, right? USC, in very recent history, right, between the two teams, they've been very hard-fought games. There's a lot of tensions. There's a lot of blood boiling. I mean, you have Cam Rising and the Caleb Williams stuff, all that jazz. Yeah. And now they're out of conferences, so they don't really get to see each other anymore. Yeah. I think it'd be a great matchup to bring them kind of back into it. Obviously, it's not the same teams that are playing against each other. But
completely different. No, I think for the storyline of it, and especially considering, right, Utah completely blew the chances of USC winning a natty with Caleb Williams both years. I think that would be a phenomenal game, just in terms of, again, people who love the Pac-12 would tune in. Any USC fan is going to want to watch that game, try to get our revenge on a team like Utah. Hopefully that would mean a little bit more to the likes of a guy like Lincoln Riley as well, going up against a team like Utah, being able to finally get that payback. But I would be very intrigued by a USC-Texas matchup. And, I think – and I want to pose this question to you guys. Like, if USC goes into a bowl game against a big-time team like Texas or Utah, and say USC comes out completely flat, how do we feel about Lincoln Riley after this season? Truly, because this is something that I have had on my mind for a while. I feel pretty strongly about certain things and about other things, but I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about the season, but more reviews than not, I'm seeing that people think it was a good season. It was a positive season. So if we go into a bowl game and get absolutely smacked around by another ranked team, maybe an SEC team like Texas or something, does that start to raise some eyebrows for you guys?
I think for me it does. However, I think I personally am still willing to give Lincoln Riley one more year. Only because, we don't know yet what Mayava's going to do, but it more than likely is pointing to the direction that he might go to the NFL or not. But you still have Hussein Longstreet. You still have some players that you got to develop. Yeah. King Miller. What's King Miller? Is he a junior or?
Well, he just walked on, so he's got to be.
All right, I think he's a freshman.
Yeah, I want to say he's young.
So you have key figures that you still have time to develop.
Jacoby Lane has another year of eligibility,
which I think he'll stay because I don't know. I mean, Makai's gone.
Yeah, for sure.
He's going to be first round. I think Jacoby still has a chance to get picked higher than he is right now.
Yeah.
Because I think Lemon overshadowed him in that sort of jazz. So I think if he stays, Lane will stay. You have, like you said, King Miller as well.
And whether Mayava stays or not, I think if Mayava stays,
I think he has to.
I mean, if he stays another year, and if you don't make an impact next year, I'm sorry, but I think that's the time that you got. Yeah. Because you're running out of excuses year after year.
Yeah,
you've already, we've seen what Mayava can do. The mobile quarterback, the similarities between him and Caleb Williams. this is the time to give him his last shot, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Go into next year, and I still got to look at what their schedule is for next year. But I think in terms, I would personally give Lincoln Riley one more year.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you. I don't totally hate that idea. Obviously, Lincoln Riley, his stand at USC, he had Caleb Williams, and that did really well for him. Now he's at Mayava, and I think I don't think Mayava is going to declare. Now, if he does, my opinion might change a little bit, because I think Lincoln Riley's a great QB manager as a coach. All right, he gets people Heismans.
Yeah, he knows how to develop quarterbacks.
He knows how to develop quarterbacks really well. I don't think you're going to lose a ton of your talent, right, from this team right now that he has, and so I think you give him the one extra year because you're not losing a ton of pieces. He's had this team. He's developed this team. And if you have a bad season next year, yes, it's time to let him go. Also for the buyout, it's a little cheaper, I think, if you give him an extra year, because I don't think there's an ability to get him to leave USC. But, I mean, there's obviously been some eyebrows raised throughout the course of the season. I mean, I draw comparisons with the Knicks sometimes with the way things go, where the first half you're like, I don't know how the heck we are losing by this much. And then somehow, like I was saying, fourth quarter Knicks, still, I don't care. I'm watching the games and they suck. First, second, third quarter down 20-something, and then, they win. I was like, fourth quarter, So, I mean, as a head coach, I think he still gets one more year, especially because I don't like how fast teams are to kind of turn on their coaches, as we've seen this year. Obviously, he's had a little longer than most of the coaches that get kind of canned. So I think, like, I agree with you, Christian. I think we give him one more year, and he has to make at least the playoffs, like that.
Hey, gentlemen, Tony in the booth here.
Yeah, yes, Tony.
So LR is safe in my book after beating UCLA. That for sure was him being safe. And if they lose a bowl game, yes, that'll be a big morale loss. But like you guys said, this next year is his make or break year. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you pointed out, it's kind of like the Knicks situation. We had tons of conversations about how the Trojans cannot finish. From last year, they had such a big second half issue. And this year, for the most part, they only had a few catastrophes against teams that they probably should have needed those to not happen. But he did correct some of those mistakes. So now something's got to give in this next year. And if it is Lincoln Riley's last year at USC, then I am fine with it. But they need to let that 2026 freshman class come in and get comfortable.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest reason why USC cannot give Lincoln Riley the boot so far.
Yeah.
It's because of the 2026 recruiting class. It's because of the class
because it was so good.
Because of how
you have
phenomenal
the
it is.
figures.
And I think if you see a team like Penn State and what happened, right? You fire a guy like James Franklin midseason.
Yeah.
You lose 19 of your 20 recruits over the next 2 years. That is going to happen to USC 100%. If Lincoln Riley gets the boot, without a doubt. And I think, again, as detrimental as I think he has been at times to USC over his first 4 years, I think in my head there really shouldn't be. I think this year was a pretty make or break year. It's his fourth year being at USC.
Yeah.
And by this point, every single player is him. He recruited in some way, shape, or form. USC got a new GM just for him, straight from Notre Dame, Chad Bowden, who had phenomenal records of recruiting and everything. So
it's Chad Bowden's time now.
Yeah, in my head, I thought this was the make or break year. Yeah. But with seeing the way in which everything transpired with Penn State, seeing how James Franklin, all that, and especially how poorly Penn State played after that, they completely lost their identity, like we talked about earlier on. I think USC can't afford to do that.
Yeah,
but with that being said, next season is the make or break season.
Oh, and I think it's also because of the, I guess you could say, relatively success. I'm still putting that in
relative.
I'm still putting that in quotes just because obviously we didn't reach the playoffs, and we've had a couple of instances where, like you said, right, the whole second half thing becoming an issue. That's his only saving grace right now. It's the only reason why you don't put that seal on it, and of course the buyout too, the money that's involved in all that, but. Like to the point that we're making, it's the class, it's the players that he has, the youngsters that he still has time to develop.
Yeah.
But more than anything, it's because this whole season wasn't a complete failure.
Yeah, it's not
is
another
why
down.
you
I
keep
think so.
them.
Yeah, and like I said to you before the show, actually, Christian, I think for me, right, a lot of people said this season with USC, and I mean, you mentioned it, Tony, too. We were incredible in the second half, right? That's great. But to my eyes, good football teams don't need a full quarter to get started. I have never once heard of a Nick Saban Alabama team being a second half team.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a compliment. I genuinely don't think being a second half team or being a first half team is a good thing to be. You want to play from the first whistle all the way through the last whistle. And I think, to me, this season, USC didn't do that. I think we played from the halftime whistle up until the last whistle. But the full 30 minutes beforehand, USC was, whether it was we were nowhere to be seen on offense, whether our defense was, Swiss cheese, letting up 150 passing yards in the first half.
Those
whatever
5 minutes
it was.
of special teams.
Special teams. Whatever it is, I think, again, when I go into this season next year for Lincoln Riley, right, there should be no leeway. USC should be making the playoffs. USC, if they get more than 3 losses next season, that is a failure.
We don't need to be, disguising Sam Hewitt again as a punter.
Yeah, no, I think the slack and all this stuff with Lincoln Riley, right? We've given him the benefit of the doubt year in and year out. I feel like I've always been saying, like, oh, just give him one more year.
Yeah.
I fell for the bait this year with Oregon. I totally did. And that's why I feel firmly about this, because in my head I'm like, this is the same shit the same stuff. Excuse me. I've been thinking every single year. Oh, how about next year? I get so much false hope from the Mets already.
Yeah.
I don't need it with USC as well. The double whammy does not bode well for me when it happens both in the fall and the spring.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to see action. I want to see a football team go in from the first whistle, start playing the football game, and come out after the last whistle still playing their heart out. And I think I've seen a few flashes of that over these 4 years with Lincoln Riley. But by this point, it is going into his 5th year, it should be an everyday occurrence, especially when you're the head coach of a powerhouse, a national caliber, a national championship school like USC. There's no room for error in my eyes. And I think, again, we're giving Lincoln Riley too much benefit of the doubt right now. And I think next year, again, no short leash, nothing. I think he's got to have a short leash, no long leash, no leeway. Like I said, if anything more than 3 losses, even 3 losses, because that's not going to get you into the playoffs, because we see teams like Texas is not going to get in this year. Anything more than 3 losses is a failure in my eyes, and I think USC should then really have an internal conversation and think, are we ever going to win with Lincoln Riley? Because in my eyes, I don't think we ever will. And even going into next season, I still think we never will win with Lincoln Riley until he proves me otherwise, which he hasn't. And he has had times. I think this Oregon game was absolutely a prove-it game. Going on the road, college football chances on the line. I mean, they showed the odds projection if the team loses or wins in that game. If USC won, it was like 88%. If they lost, 2%.
Yeah, the 2%.
If it was Oregon, if they won, 98%. A loss, like 12%. That is a college football playoff game. And to me, USC started off good, then faltered off, got a little bit better towards the end, and then just couldn't finish. And again, this is a 60-minute game. You got to play through both whistles from the start to finish. USC didn't do that in a make-or-break game. I will wait until next season, but no more long leash, no more leeway for this guy.
Now, another thing to keep in mind is the Big Ten schedule for next season, right? We play at Bloomington. Right now, we don't know how this Indiana team is going to look like next year. We don't know what quarterback they're going to get from the transfer portal, because we know Fernando Mendoza isn't going to stick around for another year. So we got to see what that happens. At Penn State, at Beaver Stadium, that's going to be interesting to see. We also host Ohio State. We host Oregon. Wow. So there are some tough cookies down the road, and I'm just kind of curious to see how Lincoln Riley.
A lot of proof.
That's the trial by fire.
A lot.
And that's not even to mention the non-conference opponents, because so far we only got Fresno State on there. There hasn't been announced yet which other non-conference teams we're going to play next year.
Fair enough.
And
bring back Stanford.
Please.
Notre Dame does it every year. Why can't we? Why can't we?
All right. Well, that does it for this amazing A block. Get ready, because we have 3 amazing people coming up. That's Tony, Mia, and Nolan for a B block. But that's it for today. All right. Stick around for more here on the Talk of Troy. We need somebody on the other side.
Metro!
I'll settle in the if you don't come on, what would I do? I'll wait for you. 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 Come on soon, yeah. Come on soon. I'll wait for you. 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 Come on soon, yeah. Come on soon. Come on soon, yeah. Come on
And welcome back to the Talk of Troy. We got more to talk about. A new trio, though. This trio hasn't been done.
No,
This is a new one.
This is a first timer.
I know, and it's amazing. I feel like, you know, it's just more to the pot, man. We need more people on this segment, so it's great. It's great. It's fine. It's great to be with you, Mia. So,
Have you guys ever been on segment together? I
Never.
know we
I don't
haven't.
think so.
Yeah.
Never. So it's
Completely
Well,
new.
welcome to the crew, Mia.
yeah. You're
It's,
gonna soon regret it. So hope you know.
Yeah, sorry. Let's start with some USC stuff, though. Both the basketball teams doing relatively well. Let's start with the women's, though. They're sitting at 5-2 right now. What have you guys kind of gotten to make out from this team? Obviously, the expectations were never what they were the last 2 years, but they're a winning team, but they haven't really been able to get it done for a couple of those big matchups. So what have you guys kind of made that out to be?
I mean, the two losses are to Notre Dame and South Carolina, which
Yeah.
is no easy feat.
Yeah.
So I do think that some people are kind of reading a little bit too much into it because, again, this is basically a completely new team. The only returning starters that you really have is Malia Samuels, who actually came off the bench for a majority of the year, and Kennedy Smith, who's a sophomore. So you can't expect this team to mesh well so early in the year and to take on opponents like South Carolina and Notre Dame. I do think now we're getting on to, what is this, like, game 8-ish, maybe?
Yeah,
8?
it's the 8th game.
Yeah. Against St. Mary's.
Yeah, so after the St. Mary's game, they go against Washington, which is a good opponent, ranked number 21. They have Ari Howell, who actually transferred from USC last year. If we see a strong showing against Washington, not necessarily like a huge dominance win, but just I want to see some more fluidity in the offense. We've had some troubles with our threes recently. For some reason, Lindsey Gottlieb seems to want to just shoot like a bunch of threes this
Yeah.
year, which is super new.
That's the thing. It's they're trying to go with this new flow of we need a high 3-point attempts per game. It's like, no, that wasn't
just
our
not
game.
working.
That's not. Yeah, it's not working. It hasn't been our game. So if you know that teams like South Carolina are going to be more athletic, bigger than you, then I get it. You want to be able to maybe put them down around the perimeter, but if it's not working, you got to get in transition. And I feel like the speed and the pace of what this team should be hasn't really met my, not expectations, because I don't want to put that expectancy norm on them, but almost like I was I was expecting something more flashy on this team to get the ball on the ground, move the rock down the court just faster. I don't know. There's certain things that you can say, like obviously mismatches are going to be a thing. But yeah, like the 3-point percentage,
It's just not working.
It's not working. That South Carolina game, they made 1 3.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad.
So it's been interesting. I don't think that they're a bad team. I think that they still need to prove maybe not to SC fans, but to nationals, they can beat a good opponent.
You mentioned what the team isn't, and that's not a team that's supposed to be shooting threes. That's just never really been Gottlieb, and that's also just looking at the skill set of this team. That's not really this team. With the exception of London Jones, your skill set isn't just shooting a bunch of threes. What this team has always been, at least since it had Juju, was you get your star guard who's relatively big and tall for what she's supposed to be as a guard, and she just drives and she gets fouled or she puts the ball. Like, that's what the team's always been. And yeah, you don't have Juju Watkins right now, but you have Jazzy Davidson, who's also a bigger guard who has kind of the same skill set, and I think she kind of was trying to get that to happen against Notre Dame. But the problem, where's the camera? Which camera do I look at? I have a message for Jazzy Davidson. I don't know which camera. I'm hoping it's this camera. Jazzy, game on the line against Notre Dame, our arch nemesis, USC's arch nemesis, game on the line. You are under the hoop, and you have to make a simple layup. I don't do this often. I know that I am not playing basketball or football or baseball or anything for a reason because I usually can't do it. I could have made that basket. I could have shot it into the hoop from 2 feet away. That's a layup. It's a layup. You have to make that. You're a freshman. You're a true freshman. I get it. That's literally like your 5th game playing in college, but you're the number 1 recruit. You're the number 1 player in the nation, and it's a layup. You have to make that. There's no exception.
I mean, I would argue though, like a simple wide open layup sometimes can be harder than a
Maybe.
contested three.
And she wasn't even running either. Like she caught it, and like there was no movement. It wasn't a
The
fluid.
game on the line, you're a
momentum.
freshman, and you have all these expectations on you, especially because Juju's out, right? So like now people are looking for you to be the next Juju.
Basically, they're
You're
inserting her in that
coming,
offense.
Yeah, you're already coming into the game with high expectations. I would low-key argue that that's probably a harder shot than trying to throw off a Jordan Marsh contested three for the game winner.
Maybe it is, but this doesn't sound like a winning attitude.
That's
Like
true.
this, like what we're saying right now is not a winning attitude. Like if you're in South Carolina, do you think they ever talk about like this? No, there's no exception. You're a true freshman. I don't care if you're the starter and if you're the star, you make that shot. Like that's
True.
the problem.
I'll give her the one, but going forward, we can't do that again.
We can't. But like, it's not our fault for having that mindset. It's kind of like it's the culture that has been built around USC in a lot of sports of very good but can't get over that hump. And that's the problem. Like that's I feel like why we're coming up with these excuses.
Hey, Nolan.
Right?
Ethan Galbraith in the comments, he said,
Oh, no.
Nolan, you're not making that.
Bro, I'm absolutely making that. And you know what? I'm getting fouled too. I'm drawing the and 1. We're going up 3. I am absolutely making that. Now, I'm probably not making it because I'm not in the game because I went 0 for 10 before that. But that one shot, that makes me 1 for 11. So, Ethan, I'm making that shot.
I think with the team too, what we're missing here, and what the concern was in the beginning of the year, is we don't have a front court. We're missing the Raya Marsha, Kiki Area, Finn, and to be honest, I don't know if it was a problem with recruiting or transfer portal or what have you, maybe because Juju was not playing this year, so it wasn't much of an appeal for recruits or transfers anymore this year, but we don't have a front court. We have one girl, Gerda from Lithuania, who's been getting us some great points. She's pretty tall. At least our guards are tall. Like Cara Douglas and Davidson's are pretty tall. But like, again, what our identity has mostly been is just bully them in the paint. And if we're gonna bully them, if they're gonna try to bully us in the paint, we have guards, we have defenders there who can like deter that from happening, right? So it's a totally new Trojan basketball team with a new identity, and I just don't think it's working out for them. But one thing about Lindsay that I don't like, I will say, is that she doesn't know when to give up on when something's not working. Example, last year, why was TVO starting every single game? She sucked. If I had a penny for every single time I saw her miss a wide open 3 or a wide open shot, like I'd be rich. I could pay the $100K tuition. So honestly, I don't think Lindsay's gonna mix up their identity or what she's gonna have them doing In the same way that right now I think that London Jones should be starting over Malia Samuels. And the only reason London Jones started over Malia Samuels last game was because Malia Samuels is hurt.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
right before yesterday's or 2 days ago's game, they announced that she has a problem with like her wrist or her hand or something, which is why she sat out, which like it's against Pepperdine, so it's not a big deal. But I do like London Jones in the lineup much more than I like Malia. I think Malia's a better spark plug off the bench, especially with her defensive tenacity. But I mean, if Lindsay's not willing to make those changes, then you're just gonna have a season of mediocrity.
I agree. I mean, it is a difficult transition finding an identity when your identity for the last couple of years has been literally the best player in college basketball, or at least one of them, and this year was going to be the best player in college basketball. But I mean, that's why she gets paid the big bucks. Like, she's supposed to figure out a way around this,
Nolan.
right?
Nolan. Anthony Bettino also thinks you're not making that shot.
Bro, I'm making it.
You are
and
not
Anthony,
making that shot.
Anthony, you are not making that shot.
I
I'm
didn't
making
say
that
I
shot.
was. I never said I was making that shot. I suck at basketball. You're not making that shot, bro.
I'm making that shot. There's no one that I'm not gonna get blocked. It's like no different than a layup in practice. There's no one to block it. She was wide open.
And you're
He's saying
not
it's a
making a
layup.
layup
I think
against
we should
D1
do-
basketball players.
It doesn't matter if there's no defender. There was not a defender. It was her, the ball in the hoop. You do this in practice. You do it in practice.
Within the next
Ball
week or
game.
two, we got to get Nolan in the gym. Wide open layup. Tell him just run at it and let's see if he can make it.
Yep, I get one layup.
You get one
Guarantee
layup.
you I make it. Guarantee you I make
I
it.
think this has to happen. We should make this
Can we get like the stadium pulse in the background too?
That's fair. That's fair. We can do that. I'll make that shot. But yeah, I think look, Gottlieb gets paid the big bucks to figure this out, so it's ultimately on her too. I don't know. She's got to figure something out. She's got to find a new identity. You're gonna get Juju back later. You don't have her this year.
Yeah.
But you know who else gets paid the big bucks? Musselman.
Sure.
He's got a basketball squad also, and he kind of has found an identity. The men's basketball squad is 7-0, undefeated, and they've played some tougher opponents the last week or so than to start the year. It was kind of an embarrassing slate of opponents to start, but now in the Southwest Maui Invitational, they beat Boise State, Seton Hall, Arizona State. Those are all teams well above 500. So they're sitting at 7-0. What have you guys kind of seen from this team?
Yeah, just on the schedule, looking ahead to Oregon, I'm excited for that game only because Musselman did really complain about their schedule this year because it's like not strong at all. When you look at our women's schedule compared to our men's schedule, it doesn't compare. So I'm really looking at the Oregon game to see like, okay, Musselman, like you've been complaining this whole year about the strength of the schedule. Let's see you go against an actual Big Ten team in Oregon and put them some points and have a good game. For me, honestly, 7-0 doesn't move the needle. You're not playing against the greatest of teams. I don't know if you guys watched that Troy game, but going into a 3 overtime against Troy is more embarrassing than losing.
Troy was it SDSU though, or they almost beat them?
They did beat SDSU.
So like
but
and they were tournament team last year too.
If you watch the game, it was just miss after miss. Like when you talk about missing open layups, I couldn't tell you how many times I saw Chad Baker Mazzara go and just try to shoot the
I
ball.
could have done their job too. I could have done their job and Jazzy's
Jazzy
job.
and Chad are two supposed to be key
I'll
players.
make 10 layups in a row, one for every player on the men's team, and then one for Jazzy.
Guy, pal. Trust me. You're
Yeah,
not
I am.
that guy.
Oh yeah, I am.
And especially with like let's say Jazzy, right? Jazzy's a freshman. She has all the expectations in the world on her. She's a freshman. Chad
You
Baker
are
Mazzara's
not
like
making 10 layups
I'm
in a row.
making 10 layups
You
in a
are
row.
not making
I
10
did it
layups in a
growing
row.
up.
There's absolutely no
Not
way
that
you're making
guy.
10 layups in a row.
10 layups in a row, I can do it. Easy.
Dude, I'll
Wide
bet you
open.
$100 you don't make 10 layups in a row.
$100.
We'll-
Money on the line. By the way, we don't
$100.
support gambling here on this show. By the way,
Right. But if $100, 10 layups in a row.
I
you
will
taking it?
wager. I don't know if I'm ready to wager $100
So you're
right
not
now.
that confident.
I will wager though.
Exactly.
are
will
these still under the basket layups, or is he running? Is he playing?
One more layups.
I think you
running layups.
Yeah, you gotta run.
Dude, I can make 10 layups. I can make 10
In a
layups.
row.
I heard you say that from down the hall, and I ran over here because that was crazy statement.
Those extra
can do
those steps. When you pick up your dribble, you're gonna feel a
Yeah.
little nervous when you're picking up the
I
dribble.
would-
man.
10
You
times
might-
in
This
a
is what I
row.
was saying about
You might
Jazzy's though.
pick
I
up the
would
wrong
argue
foot.
it's easier to make just a regular layup because that's like a layup line. That's what you do in practice. Jazzy's like she kind of caught the ball and in a second had to just put it up. I would say that's a little more difficult. So I give her a little bit more of. I'd relax a little more on that than I would on some of those some of the layups in the men's game that like literally
Open.
you're just missing a layup. That's exactly how you do it in practice. Either way though, not letting Jazzy out the hook. You got to make that. Yeah, all of them need to make their layups. I could make it.
Next 2
Ethan
weeks, I
wants
need
to
to
know-
see Nolan in the gym, and we got to do layup lines 10 straight in a row.
I'll do everything. I'll do layup lines. I'll do catch and shoot from under the hoop. I'll do everything, and I'll make them all.
Okay,
We'll see.
Ethan just asked, can you make the Troy game winner?
Can you make the joke?
No, I cannot. I'm good for the fundamentals. I'm good for making the shots that I'm supposed to make, not making the shots that I'm not supposed to make. So no, I cannot make that game winner.
Back to men's basketball though. The Troy game. I was saying when we're talking about having to be like the star player, right? Chad Baker-Mazara, you're 30. Okay, so in the comparison, Jazzy, she's a freshman. A lot of expectations on her. Chad, like, you do have expectations, but I think he's actually 25 years old at this point. Like, you should be able to shoot against Troy, who definitely doesn't have people who are 25 on their team, or as many, right? So, and then at the end of the game, like, each overtime, they kept feeding the ball to Chad for him to make the game-winning shot, and he just kept missing. And it wasn't until, like, a last-second shot to Jordan Marsh that he makes the three. Like, I just don't think Chad's that guy. I do think Rodney Rice is going to end up being that guy more than Chad, and I think that's messed up considering probably how much they're paying Chad in NIL and how big of an impact he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just regurgitate what you said, but I'm kind of echoing a lot of the thoughts that are going around. This team, they don't surprise me, and they don't disappoint me at the same time. Like, I'm great with this 7-0 streak. I love it. You know, keep it going as long as you can. But yeah, those future opponents like Oregon and especially Michigan coming up in January. I think we need to see more. We need to see more tough matchups like these Big Ten opponents saying that they are. Like,
say what you want about it not being a legit 7-0 and half of the opponents weren't good. Here's the thing. 2024 men's basketball team doesn't go 7-0 so
true.
far. They probably go 5-2,
Yes.
That's
maybe
true.
even 4. So these are steps forward that Musselman got paid to do. Like, this is kind of what...
It's not that hard to improve from last year, though.
It's
I can't
n-
give him that much credit.
It's not. The bar was set low, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, USC took care of what they needed to take care of. They've
They took
won.
care of
They've
business,
won
yeah.
so far, and again in the Invitational, some of those games were actually real opponents. So I don't know. I think they're good. To me, they're 21st in the country in points per game. It's a really, really strong offensive team. Defense is not good at all. I think
Yeah.
it's number 260, and again, half of these opponents were nobodies. So like, you got it.
you probably put a JUCO in there.
The
Yeah.
one thing I will give this team credit to that I didn't see in last year's team is that they do actually look like they want to win. Last year's team, like, they never looked like they want to win.
Yep.
There was no fight. There was no grit. I mean, even though these teams aren't necessarily the most highest ranked teams, like that Seton Hall game, 83-81, like they looked like they wanted to win that game. The 3 overtimes with Troy, like they were never out of the game. Last year's team, they probably would have lost in regular time or regular regulation, or they would have just lost in the first overtime. Like, so I will say I'll give credit to that for this team, and I do think part of that is because Musselman really got to assemble his own team and who's gonna play the way that he wants them to play, and like who actually is receptive to his coaching style. Because I think a problem last year was that a lot of those players were not receptive to the coaching style. Like, they just did not care about him, and like Musselman is super fiery, super passionate. He's gonna rip into his guys, and if you're not receptive to that, which I don't think last year's team was, like, you're not gonna want to go out there and play for your coach. When I think this team really does want to go out there and play for their coach.
I agree. They have more passion behind them. I think this is a tournament team. I really do. Let's transition, though, a little bit more. Let's talk professional now. Let's go NBA. Tony, I know you were saying before, or I guess during production, before the show, you were saying the ratings are surprisingly high. I would have thought that the downward trend had continued.
Oh,
Let's hear what
man.
you have to say.
Absolutely not, actually. The ratings, I know we like to joke and jab about, ratings. Who cares about ratings? We've had this conversation. The ratings for the NBA have been the best in the last 15 years.
That's a shocker.
Wow.
This, I understand, and like myself and a lot of fans out there are unhappy with the current NBA Watch Guide, with all the subscription-based services that you have to do in order to watch the game. It's Peacock, ESPN, Prime.
The NBA app.
The NBA app doesn't even include League Pass if you don't have your own local station. But nonetheless, the league has garnered enough attention for it to seem to be worth it. Adam Silver, you're proving us wrong. You're proving us wrong so far, and I'm here for it because I think that we're in a weird era right now where basketball has the potential to be, either the most popular it could be for the next couple of years, or has a possibility to literally sink below, I don't know, hockey, baseball. It could get really unpopular with the amount of players that are about to retire, heading out. You got LeBron James, you got Steph Curry, you got Kevin Durant, you got those guys that are about to phase out. You're looking to see who can garner enough attention for people to watch these games. But it seems like the games are already exciting enough as it is, and people want to watch them. And to me, I wonder if you guys think that this streaming service route has some sustainability, as a lot of people thought it wouldn't.
I would be really interested to see, though, the viewership on NBC versus everything else, because I think a huge thing this year was that basketball is back on NBC and feels like the old days, and that kind of brought a lot of viewers back. And I think NBC's been doing a phenomenal job with the coverage. They've definitely lived up to the hype. So I was wondering, do you know the numbers?
Yes. So it actually is largely a portion amount to NBC as well, because of their amazing production. I think the games actually feel like they actually have some flair. I love that they're doing the college announcements before some games. That's great. But yeah, I think it's currently right now the opening month was about 60 million viewers. And that's the most that in the last 15 years that the opening month has gotten. And if they continue this route, I can start seeing the conversations of, Americans and people globally, they're cutting the cable. And sometimes you got to match with what the world's going on with right now. And it's like people don't want to watch anything else on cable TV except two things. Sports at number one, and news, even though news is at the click of one of these any time of the day that you want, for whatever reason that you want. You don't need to watch on TV anymore. Sorry for all those journalism majors out there. I'm a part of that as well, even though I'm a comms major, but it's true. It's true, and the NBA is really realizing we need to keep up with that. We need to keep up with the status quo, and I think that this live streaming platform, this experiment, it might be the way to go.
Another thing I want to point out, though, is that while, yes, economy's down, people really just not spending money recently, there's one thing that sports fans they're loyal.
That's
yes.
And it doesn't matter, sport, people always talk about, sports, it doesn't matter who you are, where you stand on political stance, or, how you look. Sports is always the one commonality. And so I think sports fans are just loyal. And when you think about the NBC thing, you had the inside the NBA crew go from TNT to NBC, right? So now those people who have a cult following, inside the NBA has a super cult following, they're gonna follow them into NBC, then they're gonna watch the pregame show or watch their show, and then that's gonna lead into the game too, right? So it's I think it's the biggest thing is that no matter what, sports is going to reign on, and maybe this is going to work for sports, but I think if you try it in any other, or the big sports like the NBA, the NFL, but I think if you try it in smaller leagues or different places, I don't think it's going to have the same effect because of how impactful sports is.
By the way, it was an 87% increase compared to last year's TNT opening.
Wow. But TNT's, if you look at TNT's production to what NBC does now, it's night and day. TNT sucked.
Yeah, it sucks because look now, the NBA as a whole is realizing that, production really does matter. And it's sad to say that because they've realized that the little details in the score bugs, the presentation, the pregame shows, the NBA Finals not having a trophy logo in the center, which is now going to be, it's going to be there this year in the championship with who two teams are in the finals this year. There will be a championship trophy in the middle of that in the middle of that arena. Pre-production matters and flair matters. This stuff is what people care about, and it's like you pointed out, loyalty. They will be there no matter what. They'll go to whatever streaming service or whatever to watch their games. Not every generation knows about meth streams. So they got to get their content somehow.
Yeah, when you first mentioned that stat of 15-year high for ratings, my first thought was, well, what going on in the league is that much more interesting? Is it really that good that LeBron's kind of on the way out, that all these guys? I know you can say that any year, there's a lot of guys retiring. These next 2 or 3 years is going to be one of the biggest, just
Transition.
huge figures in the NBA all time retiring. Kevin Durant, LeBron, Steph, Harden.
No, I know.
all
Yeah.
those
Everybody's
guys.
everybody's holding
All the
their
way
breath to what's
Yeah.
going to happen to the future of this league.
That's why I was thinking, like, what's that much more attractive about the NBA? Like, is Wemby that big? But he was here last year, and how come it's high this year?
Yeah.
Now it kind of makes sense. Like, kind of matching the viewers where they're at with cutting the cable. The platform really does make a big difference. Huh?
It does.
Like, I mean, NBC really has done that much better than TNT. I thought it was cool to see. I didn't necessarily think that would result in like better ratings, but it looks like it's done wonders for the NBA community.
Yeah.
It's the loyalty that fans feel. It's the nostalgia too. Like, I mean, when you think about like the glory days of the NBA, that was on NBC.
Yeah.
So to be able now, like, you're going to this new transition, this new period of time where you have all these people retiring, and you get the Cooper flag and the Wemby coming up. Like, this is a perfect. Like, honestly, I think NBC just caught the perfect storm of like the transition, and they've just really been able to take off with it. And people too probably find a lot of solace in just being able to watch sports, and no matter where they're gonna find it, they're gonna subscribe and they're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, ratings up for the NBA is a win for everyone, especially basketball fans.
Yes.
This is the first time in my life that I can really think, like, after like 2015 type Steph and LeBron going at it, that I can actually think like the NBA is getting a little better. So
They are.
better
Yeah.
basketball is better for everyone.
Something
Yeah.
I do wonder though is how college basketball, how men's college basketball is going to shape up this year in comparison to that. Because something that's been like huge conversation is how women's basketball, like all of the college hype has definitely led into the WNBA, which I don't think is the same for the NBA, because like it's just
not at all.
It's just hard. Like, not everyone stays for the 4 years. Like, we would get to watch Juju's greatness at USC for 4 years. Like, you can't say the same about Cooper Flag, right? Like, he's at Duke for a year. Like, it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Also, this whole concept of like women's basketball and how like they brand a lot more than the men, and NIL and that's like all those things. But I wonder if how the stats are going to compare at the end of this men's college basketball season, and if they're going to kind of tweak how they cover things or where they put men's basketball in terms of like streaming or different platforms and things like that. But
That could be interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely differences with college and pros. The thing is, college always has March Madness going for them. Like, that's one of the best months of
for
sports. But regular season ratings are never really that high for college basketball.
No.
It seems. Now we're getting into conference play, so that might change. Let's stay on the topic of college. I want to talk football.
Yes.
Really quick. This team. So season's over. This team kind of maybe slightly exceeded expectations, but now the conversation is, well, what's next? Who does USC keep? Jaden Mayava, Jacoby Lane, like, are any of them going to come back? I'm sure Lincoln's going to try to push for them to come back. What's going to happen? What's the future of this team? Is this I know, Tony, you were saying, is this the Tinook Hines offense, or is Lane coming back? And it's
So, first of all, I think that this 2026 team is going to have a lot of eyes around it, but it's also going to be kind of, I don't know, like a newborn baby in a way. Like, this team is not any other team that Lincoln Riley is going to be coached before. He's going to have to discover if he wants to, for the first time in his offense, be a tight end led offense with Mark Bowman, who's I think he's tied technically for the number one tight end in the nation coming in, but he and Tinook Hines, who his coming out game against Oregon was fantastic, and he's shown flashes which I'm very thankful for. I was waiting for the Tinook Hines game all year, and we got it, and it makes me happy that we get at least to have another safety valve for whoever mans the quarterback spot. Will it be Jaden Mayava? I gotta tell you, Jaden Mayava's got Pittsburgh Steelers written all over him. in my opinion, I think that he will probably declare. This year for the quarterback class is not great, and
it's a good time to declare.
It's a good time for him to declare. Although I think for USC, I would be more than welcome to have Jaden. I think he is a great quarterback. I do not think that he is a Heisman level quarterback, but I do think that he has qualities that can do great things, like a Mendoza if you put him in the right spot. I think that Jacoby Lane, my favorite player on this team, who needs to figure out, all right, well, what matters to him most? He can declare now, and he can go to good NFL team, a pretty good starting team. He can go to a team like the Bills, the Niners, which I would love. Or you could stay and you can be with Tanook Hines. You can be with Mark Bowman, and you can give SC fans that natty push that they've been wanting for so long. I also think that it'd be great for him to have a 1,000-yard season for the first time in his collegiate career. He hasn't notched that. He led the team in touchdowns last year, didn't this year, and that's because obviously, like that was mentioned in the last segment, he got overshadowed. I think that Jacoby
And he was hurt for a couple games, no?
And he was hurt. Yeah, he was mending a broken foot that he had in the summer. So I think that Jacoby Lane stays. I think that he stays. I don't think he transfers. That would be like some Emmanuel Pregnon level transfer. I think that he stays. I think that the vibe around the team right now is that Mackay is for sure gone, and I think that in a way Mackay and Lane probably have some sort of relation. They have a great relationship to where they know that, Lemon is going to go out there and do his thing, but Lane, he still has something to prove for himself, and I think he desires that. I think he desires that for this team, and I would like to see some more fire within him for this next year.
As a student, obviously, I hope Jacoby Lane returns. Tanook Hines, maybe it's not beneficial for him, but it's beneficial for the team. I agree, he's not going to transfer. He's either declaring or he's staying. I just don't see how it's beneficial for him. He can prove it in the NFL if he believes in himself, which every good receiver, every good football player, every good athlete believes in themselves. The good thing for him is even though the stats don't really scream at you, it's 49 catches, 745 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The scouts watch these games.
Yes, Jacoby Lane, as far as my opinion, in the collegiate level, I think that he is the best 50-50 ball wide receiver in the league.
I agree.
I think that you can throw it to him. It might not work out. You might get the flag thrown at you, or you might get something completely fantastic that will go viral on national television for like at least the next week. He has such a great archetype for his skill, and if he can fine-tune that with better route running and with the ability to escape and get better yards after the catch, my God, he is going to be elite, and he would be a first-round pick.
Well, I would take it a step further and say he's the best 50-50-50 receiver, because he's the best 50-50 ball receiver, and he's the best receiver under 50 catches in college football. And so that's the thing. Like, if you're just looking at the numbers, he's a just decent number 2 receiver. If you watch any of his film, like, he is an earlier round pick.
He is.
Easily. He should be, at least. And I think he knows that, and I think he will. And that's why I don't think he's going to come back. But I'm not concerned with Tanook Hines. I just don't think that going to a tight end based offense, that has never worked out for USC. Not too long ago, we had a really, really good tight end. Didn't quite work out. You can't base your offense around that. So I think it's the Tanook Hines offense. I don't think Mayava's coming back. I think Mayava...
You think Longstreet's going to take the helm?
And I have absolutely no problem with that. I think Longstreet's awesome. I was saying before this year that I kind of wanted Longstreet to start. Mayava did exceed my expectations. But I will say, for someone who... you can kind of do some deep diving, and he's up there in terms of historic passer rating seasons. Really, really good, really efficient. If you break down his season into first half and second half, 72% completion rate, over 300 yards per game, over 2 touchdowns a game, 0.3 interceptions a game, and 185.7 passer rating. That's Heisman level right there.
Oh, for sure. He's got a zip to his arm.
He does.
I don't think I see that from Longstreet from the few games that I've been in person to see with him, but I'm sure that can be developed. Longstreet, I can see him as a dual threat quarterback as well.
That's what he is.
And that's what really excites me for this team is that, Jaden Mayava, he compared to Longstreet, he looked humongous and Longstreet looked small. Longstreet's only 2 inches shorter, and keep in mind, Jaden Mayava is 6'6".
He's also older than Longstreet.
That too.
Longstreet still has time to buff out.
Exactly.
But he's also a dual threat quarterback, so he kind of needs to be smaller to run around and use his speed to his advantage.
So if it is the Hassan Longstreet show for next season, I'm okay with that. I think that it might be good if it is just a Tanook Hines and a Mark Bowman offense, because that would prevent some chemistry, I guess, connection issues between if Jaden stayed again and he would just feed it to Tanook, and then at that point you just shadow Tanook with 2 guys, and then you're cooked. But I think that the returners, yes or no, agree. Jaden, I say he declares. He's gone. Jacoby, I think he stays. And
Really?
And I think that this will probably be a wide receiver-led offense, like you said, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln tries to throw out some tricky plays without there with Mark Bowman.
Something Lincoln Riley said in the post-game presser for the UCLA game, because I went to go cover it for Annenberg, was he was like, this team is going to, and he was in a positive manner. He was like, this team in the future is going to be looked upon like, dang, like this was the start of the team, like this was the momentum thing going. So I do think he's right, and I do think it is double-sided where like next year there's really no excuse. So if it's bad on him, he's out. The team doesn't look as good. I don't think Jacoby Lane's staying. I think he knows he's NFL star talent. I think he's going to.
I think he is too. I think that he could be an instant impact player to any NFL team out there. I just think that there is a desire for him to be great at this level and prove that he can be just like Mackay.
But what does he have to benefit for staying, though? Like, the ultimate goal for all these players ever since they were 4 years old is be a difference maker at the highest level, which is the NFL. He's almost there. He declares and he punches his ticket to that level. We don't know exactly where he'll go, but he'll easily go. Why doesn't he just do that? That's been his dream for 18 years.
I mean, you look at the way that college football is growing now. You might even have a 16-team playoff bracket in the next couple seasons, and I think that interest of the way that college football is growing, a natty is something so sacred that it's so rare now. It's so hard fought for that
USC isn't winning the Natty. Be so for real. USC's not winning the Natty next year.
With Jacoby Lane or not.
With Jacoby Lane or not, I'm not saying that that's the case, but I do think that he wants to just go prove that he's that guy. He can be.
Prove that in the NFL.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me.
He already proved that to us. USC fans know he's that guy.
If he stays another year, like, it might impose. If he doesn't have the 1,000-yard season, or if he doesn't have this exemplary, like, better than Mackay Lemon this year, USC fans are going to look at him and be like, oh, you know what, he's kind of digressing. Or our scouts are going to be like, oh, well, you know what, like, maybe he's not NFL material. I think he has a little momentum right now. Yeah, he did get overshadowed by Lemon a little bit, but who cares about that? It happens. Go show what you're made of in the NFL. Go declare, get drafted, and like, prove to everyone this is where you belong.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with you guys. I wish the best for him. He's going to make the best decision that he can for himself. But come on, man. Just one more ride.
I'd love for him to stay,
ride,
just
baby.
like I'd love Mayava to stay. Then Lincoln has the choice. Either go with Longstreet, go with Mayava, whoever he wants.
Yeah.
I don't see it as beneficial for someone who's an early round pick. I just that never really happens.
That's fair. I mean, he'd have to prove himself against vetted wide receivers if he gets selected lower, because
of course,
those other wide receivers are going to give up those targets, and he is a target receiver. He needs the ball in his hands,
or he could just get like 13 touchdowns.
Or he could just hang in the red zone and get like 12 touchdowns because he's just gonna lay down. Like I think no matter what, Jacoby Lane will be a marquee impact player for whatever team he plays on. Yeah, whether that's collegiate level or pro level. That's
I agree.
all I'll say.
Let's talk about that pro level really quick for the last couple minutes that we have in the NFL. The AFC and NFC are kind of the story of two teams for each of them. AFC, the Patriots, I believe the game's over, which would make them 11-2. Mm-hmm. The Broncos are right behind them at 10-2. Before that game ended, they were kind of tied for first place in the AFC. And then the NFC, it's Bears and Packers, both at 9-3. I don't know about you guys. I feel like the Patriots are clearly...
Yeah, I'm from Chicago.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So then you were probably.
This is like my glory time right now. You don't understand. Like,
oh no,
I haven't been able to be excited for like a second. I'm not gonna lie. I am realistic though. As a Chicago fan, like, we do have a history of starting up and then just plummeting. Like, if you look at the Bulls right now, we head up to the hot start, and now we're not doing so hot. But
okay,
continue. Sorry, no.
All right. I'm learning.
You might not like what I'm gonna say for this, but I feel like you'll probably agree though. Both conferences, there's very clearly a number one team. In the AFC, the Patriots are obviously the better team than the Broncos. The Broncos, they're on a 9-game winning streak, so they're the hottest team in the NFL maybe, but that's with a less than 4-point win margin over the Eagles, Jets, Giants, Texans, Raiders, Chiefs, Commanders. Now that's several really good wins. Eagles, Chiefs, those are good wins. You're also talking about less than a 4-point margin against the Raiders, the Jets. This is a team that will keep it close no matter what, but it seems like they'll win it. And then in the NFC, the Bears, the key stat that I have for them is they have a positive point margin for the year of +6. They've outscored their opponents by 6 points, and they're 9-3. I just don't see that sustainable when the Packers are also 9-3. The Bears still have to play the Packers twice. I think the Packers are the better team. I don't know about you guys. The Broncos have no business being near the number 1 team in the conference, and neither do the Bears. Sorry to Bears.
For the Bears, I mean, I think they can prove you wrong. They can get at least one of those Green Bay wins. After Green Bay, you only have Cleveland and the 49ers, and then...
And the Packers have a tough schedule, by the way. They
What
have
are
to
you
play
saying
the
about the
Broncos,
49ers?
Ravens, and Vikings.
Come on, what are you saying about the 49ers?
Oh, who's going to tell them?
Hey man, the most injured
Playoff
team.
round.
The most injured team. Don't look at the strength of schedule, but the
Niners
most
are like quietly 8-4, right? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Exactly.
So just don't look
quietly
at the strength
third
of
place
schedule.
in the division because that's a stacked division.
In and out with Mac Jones and Brock.
But about the 6-game points,
Yes.
like average, whatever. It's because of Caleb Williams, right? He has those explosive fourth quarter. He can get the job done. Like Chicago's been winning on this type of guy forever. Like not a Jay Cutler who just wants to throw an interception every other pass. So I think it doesn't matter how many they're winning by. They're still getting the job done.
long as you get by.
That's been how they've been holding on, and that's how they're holding on. And that's that. I don't know the last time the Bears had a solid win at Green Bay. So I do think this weekend that's going to be super telling. Can they actually win against Green Bay? Green Bay isn't the best team that they've been in a while, for sure. Like, we're definitely not both at our best, but just to even get a win against Green Bay will be huge for the Bears because they haven't been able to do that in a while. And I do think they can. This is playoff implications. If you can get at least one game against Green Bay, you can take Cleveland, you can take San Francisco. I'm not too worried about that. Now, is it that meaningful because of the schedule? Probably not. But like I said, like, you find a way to get it done, you're going to get it done. Shout out Caleb Williams.
I mean, Caleb Williams, you look like you're ready to say so much.
Go.
Please, the anxiety's getting to me. Go ahead. What do you got to say about Caleb Williams?
Well, it wasn't about Caleb Williams. It was about Lambeau. Caleb as well.
Okay.
Would you have something to say about Caleb first?
No. I think that Caleb is working well with Ben Johnson. I like what they're doing. I have said that Caleb is someone that could be very attractive to franchises and end up being a non-franchise quarterback. Right now he's in that experimental phase, and I think that he's not franchise level just yet. But if he can,
as a Bears fan, comparing him to Justin Fields, we're on the ups right
or
now.
anyone else. I don't think
We're on
I've
the ups right
ever
now.
seen a quarterback.
Justin Fields was done wrong.
I've never seen a quarterback take, apologies for what I'm about to say, but a poverty franchise to 9-3
This is
in
true.
2 years, and then get not only I don't want to say disrespect, but not a whole lot of support from fans and just in general NFL spectators. What Caleb Williams has done to the Bears, regardless of, again, I just said I don't think they're that great of a team, but the Bears never would have been 9-3 in a million years with Justin Fields, Jay Cutler. That never happens.
Nope.
All these games they lose. Say what you want about how Caleb Williams can't take them away from being within a one-score game of all these crappy teams. At the end of the day, he has them beating them and some good teams as well with the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Exactly.
So,
Say what you got to say about the painted nails, man, but he gets it done.
The painted nails
And
and
the
the
nails,
matcha.
too.
The painted nails and the matcha. That's been the secret to
And the phone
success
case.
recently. He got to keep it going.
Oh no! Now we're gonna see an incoming class of performative quarterbacks.
Oof.
But as you said with the Broncos, they're not the best team by any means. And the Patriots, they seem like they are.
Yeah.
The Bills' window maybe closed.
I don't know about that.
Maybe closed.
There's just another dog in the cage. They're going to be.
There's another dog in the cage. They're going to be probably the wild card, just like the Niners are in the NFC. And I mean, if they play against Bronco, I wouldn't have a doubt in my mind that the Denver Broncos lose in that game. But if they don't, that Bills window is closed, and it's
Patriots
fine.
and Bills in 2 weeks is going to be nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that will be nice. I probably have Patriots because I think Drake May is our league MVP this year.
Drake May's that guy. Drake May's the MVP. Stafford just threw, I think, 2 picks last weekend,
Yeah.
so it's Drake May. But that's all the time we have for now. Do we have a C block? No.
No.
This is it.
This is it for us boys and girl and the other people that you saw about a half an hour ago. But we got more guys for Talk of Troy coming Wednesday, same time, so 7:30. Tune in at the Talk of Troy. We'll see you later. Peace.